the rhetoric, because we now, for the first time, we had a black president, racial rhetoric was at an all-time high.
We disagree about this.
The president is not a black president. He is a mixed president. He is as much white as he is black. It's not recognized, though,
but that's
because we are in a racist society.
Elected a black president, and all that happened was every time anything was said about this president, everyone was called racist. The president should be allowed to be critiqued without the racial thing being thrown in. But every time the president was critiqued, the racial thing was thrown in, and I think that divided the country because white people were like, seriously? We didn't want this. We wanted a leader.
People who actually really, really paying attention to the subliminal. Obama came into the office with a very, 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 very challenging situation. A lot of people didn't even want to try to be president, because this was a very, very intense predicament that this country was facing. He came into office, and when we look back on it, we know that, the government, they were shutting down the government, man. We know that it was causing more hurt. It was causing more hurt than help. The treatment, they complain about Obama using executive orders. He has the least amount of executive orders than his predecessors over the last 40, 50 years.
That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. The arguments are not how many executive orders. You're straw man in what people are saying. They're not saying Barack is using all these executive orders. What they're complaining about is how he's using his executive orders. I'll give you an example. If you and I have guns, and you're taking your gun to the firing range and firing it in, and I'm taking my gun around and murdering people, technically you have more guns than I do, but I'm the one committing the crime. The president is not using executive orders like previous presidents used executive orders. The president is using executive orders to go around Congress, and that's the reason it's such a problem. And that's the difference.
Because he can't do anything with Congress.
Congress is not elected to give Barack Obama what he wants. This is not something uniquely challenging for Barack Obama. Congress has always challenged.
If Obama uses executive order 15 times in the most hostile situation in American history since the Great Depression, you shouldn't even be bringing up the fact that he's using executive power.
Rendell,
again, a very small percentage.
Rendell, again, that's not the point. That's not the point, though. Mm-hmm. The point is not how many executive orders he's using. Even if we disagree, you should at least know what a conservative is thinking about, because this is what the media does to us. They muddy the waters. I don't care that the president's using executive orders. There are times in an administration where he has every right to use executive orders. What he doesn't have a right to do is write law from the administration, and I know you know that because you have a civic education. The president has a separation of powers just like everybody else. Just because Congress is not doing what you think they should do or what you want them to do does not automatically entitle you to do what you want. That's not how it works. It's not about executive orders. It's about subverting separation of powers.
The notion that I can just suspend deportations through executive order, that's just not the case.
This notion that somehow I can just change the laws unilaterally is just not true.
There are laws on the books that Congress has passed.
There are laws on the books that I have to enforce.
I swore an oath to uphold the laws on the books. We're also a nation of laws. That's part of our tradition. That's not how our system works. That's not how our Constitution is written.
I am not a dictator. I'm the president.
I'm going to do what I can do through executive action.
And whether people agree with the president or don't agree with the president, the danger in what he's doing in this instance is because I know for a fact that even if a Republican gets elected next time, now every president from here on out, when they don't get what they want, are just going to use these subversion constitutional executive orders, and a whole system is going to break down.
They have been, and they always will be.
If there's existing law that has been signed by Congress, the president is constitutionally allowed to work within that law with an executive order. But the president can't write law with an executive order. Because if the president can do that, why do we even have a Congress?
They have a judicial system within that to make sure that they stay within the law. And, we have the Supreme Court. It's going to go through its process. And I just pray that Obama makes it out alive, healthy, strong, and then move on with his life. And he can look back at his president and say, listen, I got my people, this country, from a recession into a place where the next leader can take it on and move us.
That's not how America will remember Barack Obama, sadly. And it is sad. It is sad.
He's going to be remembered way greater than that, actually. He's going to probably go down as probably one of the greatest presidents in this country. He's
not, and that's a sad thing.
The only thing that Obama really has against him is really just the drama, the rhetoric that's been going on through the presidency.
You and I aren't going to agree on this, but I'll tell you this. I definitely disagree, and that's fine. I mean, that's fine. We can think differently. That's America. The president is not going to be thought of that way, and here's what I wanted to say. That's a sad thing, because I think he could have, especially take Ferguson and take a lot of the race relations. Barack Obama could have been one of the greatest men in American history. He could have led us, and that's why people voted for him. He could have led us, and what he did was he divided us. He used race as a weapon. He divided every chance he got. Every chance he got, he divided America. And it's a shame because he could have been so great. He could have led us. He didn't do it, Rendell. He didn't do it. Right. He was a petty president, and he was a partisan president, and he could have been so much greater.
And I don't feel like I speak to a lot of people about this, and I do hear both sides. And I say I agree with a little bit of both sides. But I know that the dramas always disseminate. As long as he don't create scandal. And they wanted a scandal so bad. But
he's created so much scandal. There's so much scandal. Oh, my God.
Scandal?
We're not going to agree. We're not going to agree. Listen, we're not going to agree.
All right, now, another thing, one other thing I want to say about president. Being a president of the United States is not being like a citizen. See, saying this is probably the most gangster country in the world. You got the most powerful country in the world. You got to understand there is so much stuff going on that's above the average American citizen that it will blow our mind. You got to have top secret. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is what he's dealing with is way above our imaginations, man. The decisions that he's got to make.
That's not different than any other president.
No, it's not different than any other president.
But his handling has been different. His handling has been different.
What I'm saying is that American business is going to continue to go. Trust me, we got weapons relationships. We got billion-dollar, trillion-dollar relationships with people over the world. So what I'm saying is you're going to get caught up between a rock and a hard place a lot as the president of the United States. You're going to have to support Israel, even though Israel may not be doing what's in favor of United States interests.
You support Israel because Israel's right. Look, here's the thing. We aren't going to agree because we don't see. I know it is. We don't see politics the same way, so we're not going to agree. This is the thing that's interesting about these conversations. Is if you're on my side of the aisle and you think about things the way I do, you look at all these instances very, very different than if you're on the other side of supporting the president politically. But what's interesting about this man is he has done things and perpetrated things against the country that if he was a different man in a different party. And specifically in this case, if he looked different, you would never grant him the graces that you're granting him right now. I think I'm guilty of that too. I hope I won't do that anymore because
I don't agree with.
I'm telling you, you're doing that. I'm telling you, you're doing that. You're giving him huge graces.
No. I understand that when you walk in the office of the baddest country, you have to make decisions that's going to be pissing off a lot of people, man.
All that's true, but that's irrelevant because I know for a fact that you would not give these same graces to President Bush. You wouldn't.
President Bush is a criminal.
See what I mean? Exactly. See, this is my point.
This is the reason why I say I don't just say that he's a criminal. He's getting grace from me and every other American citizen
and now think about it.
Of this world. Because he still has his freedom. When he started wars, he started wars. When anybody goes from the president of the United States, it's got business they got to handle no matter what. And if war is a part of that business, then war we got to go. It don't matter. You might not want war. You might be Obama, right? I don't want war. I want to pull us out of war. But the world, he don't dictate what's going on. The world is dictating. The money is dictating what's happening on in this world. If the money is in Iraq, war is in Iraq, oil in Iraq, commodities, what we need is in Iraq, It don't matter what you want, buddy, as a president.
I don't totally disagree with what you're saying, but my point is this, and this is a great exercise for everybody to think about, because our conversations, Rendell, I just accept that we're not going to agree on everything. In fact, I like it, but something that's really, really interesting to think about, and I take my own advice. I try to. I probably don't as much as I wish I did. Think about for a second, a guy like you, with your political feelings and the way you see the world, think about how you see President Bush, right? Just think about that for a second. So you're suspect, you have animosity, you have doubt. What you feel when you look at him is how a lot of Americans feel when they look at President Obama. So, whether you agree with that or not agree with that, what's important about this exercise, what's interesting about this exercise is it helps people get perspective. You can lose touch completely with the people that disagree, and the way that you can regain perspective is just remember how you saw President Bush.
Obama won the second term and didn't have to steal it. He didn't have to steal the election. That's what I'm saying. Like,
we can argue about this and so many other things. For example, I feel very, very strongly that the facts bear out that Barack Obama is a criminal that belongs in prison by our own law. If I were to talk to you, you would say that about George Bush, and I would laugh. And here's the thing. We would just go in circles because we just disagree, and this is what's frustrating about this country. There's no common ground anymore because we don't even agree on the same facts. Like you would say something, I would disregard that as a fact. I would say something, you would disregard it as a fact. And I've noticed that the country is becoming more and more like that.
It can't be. If it's a fact, it can't be.
I agree. But that's not how it works. Okay, all right. I'm going to tell you this, for example. Okay, you say if a fact's a fact, it can't be disagreed with. Barack Obama has been marred and riddled with so much factual scandal. It's remarkable, from the VA scandal to the Benghazi to Fast and Furious to IRS to nonstop scandal. What you're going to tell me is that you disregard all that stuff, that you think all that stuff is fictitious.
Benghazi, man, come on now. That wasn't a scandal. That was
see what I mean? This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to say. You will disregard all
scandal.
that.
That's something that the Republicans wanted to make in a scandal, man. Benghazi, if anything, it was the Republicans that had something to do with it. But how can they be so sure that the United States had intelligence? How do you know? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, listen to me. Okay, now let's flip the script. Now you tell me why you're convinced that George Bush is a war criminal.
It's very blatant. See, that's
it's very blatant. All of a sudden, it becomes very blatant. But it's not blatant. It's not blatant to me. It's not blatant to me.
What is Benghazi? What's so bad about that? What's so bad? It was a U.S. embassy that was protested against, and they burnt it down to the ground. What is that?
The reason you feel this way is because you support the president. Just be honest. I'm being honest.
That's not asking you these stupid questions about something in Benghazi.
Why aren't those
same people asking about where the plane that hit the Pentagon, or where's the plane that fell down in Pennsylvania, or why did the World Trade 3 building fall?
And the point is not to say I'm right and you're wrong. Obviously, I think that. The point is, facts completely fall away when people have these partisan conversations. It's amazing.
You've already drawn some of the brightest minds from academia and policy circles. Many of them I've stolen ideas from liberally. People ranging from John Gruber.
I just heard about this. The fact that some advisor,
John Gruber,
who never worked on our staff,
John Gruber,
is no reflection on the actual process.
John Gruber.
And if we're willing to choose hope over fear, we gather because we have chosen hope over fear. If we do not move swiftly, we'll be faced with catastrophe. Millions more Americans will lose their jobs. Homes will be lost. Families will go without health care. That is the price of inaction. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan, period. If you are among the hundreds of millions of Americans who already have health insurance through your job, or Medicare, or Medicaid, or the VA, nothing in this plan will require you or your employer to change the coverage of the doctor you have.
It's obviously something, a promise that has not been able to be kept. Just today, the Denver Post reported 250,000 people in Colorado are seeing health insurance policies canceled. Some of those people like those policies.